The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazell was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified. UFO Classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Happy Friday, everybody. In fact, happy Fantopia Friday. I'm Erica Lukes, and it is always a pleasure to be here, especially to open up the evening by getting in the chat room and seeing Bill and Lorraine and Jeff and all of my friends. I really love to have you there. It makes me feel really great, and I just appreciate you guys very, very much. I have had a really exciting week. I've got a couple new projects that are going on, and I cannot wait to tell you about them. I wish I could give you a little bit more, but I'm just going to leave you with that bit of suspense. Two great things are in the works, and I am going to be just continuing on my research, in fact, delving deeper into the research that I have been doing with MUFON and expand upon that. The UFO case that we had here in January that was submitted by my friend Pat Daniels was an extremely fun case that I'm still working on, actually, and I had the pleasure of working with Jeff Cox, my then Assistant State Director of Utah MUFON, and William Puckett, who I've worked with before, and we had a great time just doing this case. It's finally making the international media rounds, and I really appreciate that. There was a great article in Open Minds today. Thank you, Alejandro Rojas, for putting that in there, and then I noticed it was in a few other news sources, so that's awesome. I have a potential line on perhaps speaking with the pilot, so I hope this pans out and I can do that. I said on last week's show that to me this case was something that is just the tip of the iceberg, and I really, really believe that. I had the opportunity a couple weeks ago to speak with another airline pilot who had a similar experience here in Utah, but of course this was the pilot's perspective. He was on the ground when he observed some very interesting lights, and being a pilot, a veteran pilot, he knew immediately that these lights, these things in the sky were not behaving like conventional aircraft or Chinese lanterns. I had to throw that in there, all these things. And so it was he just said he sat there, watched this, and was kind of processing things in his mind, trying to rationalize, what is this, putting it through the paces, because he, like many other people who experience or witness these things, they don't necessarily believe, their first assumption is it's not a UFO. This has to be something man-made. So he put it through the paces, was absolutely stupefied, and then he went inside and he was scanning the radio frequencies, and going from frequency to frequency, he heard a pilot talking to the approach tower asking if they had this object on radar. And apparently, according to his statement, the approach tower was saying that, asking him for specific information, and he said in all of his years of flying, he had never heard an exchange like that. And he also said, as a pilot, that there is pretty strict and formal protocol with regards to this sort of thing. So it's highly unusual for a pilot to go over, on air and say anything that is other than conducting business. And so it was intriguing. My point to all of this is this is a piece. Each of these cases are pieces to a larger puzzle. Do I believe there is repeated phenomenon taking place in specific areas in Utah? Yes, I do. And I think that if we can encourage the public in Utah and Salt Lake to come forward and share their information, we can get other cases, just like this Pat Daniels American Airlines case. This is a great case. This is a case that hopefully will stand the test of time and lead to much more. So I'm really excited for this. I also have a couple other things, like I was saying, a couple other really good projects, and that will be something I will be divulging here pretty quick. I am going to be on Pat Daniels' radio show tomorrow night, Fringe Radio. I am super excited to be with Pat. He's been a big supporter of me, of Utah MUFON, and he is, of course, being the witness to this case. He's a very credible, hardworking man, and I love that he delves into this phenomenon like I do. There's so much to learn, so many layers to peel back to all of this. I am thinking that, we're going to be carrying, apparently, Tina was just messaging me, Tina Marie, saying that we're going to be carrying the show on Saturday nights on KCOR. I'm thrilled about that because I love working with Pat. And Bill in the chat room, he is so fantastic. I'm sure he'll call in. Bill, you're going to call in, right? In fact, Bill, if you're there, give me a call. Let's chat for a second while I'm waiting for my guest of the evening to call. My guest is going to be Chuck Zukowski, who is a brilliant researcher, cattle mutilations. We've got paranormal information coming up, all sorts of good stuff tonight, and we are waiting for him. No, Bill, you're going to call in now. He's messaging me. Call in right now, Bill. I want to talk to you. We've got to talk a little bit about this and your telescope. So here I am, and I've got to just tell you this. This is another exciting piece of news. I purchased 2 incredibly large telescopes this week. So I am the proud owner of a Meade 200 LX EMC. And I also have another telescope that my friend Jeff has, and he is going to be he's going to be working kind of in his area, and then we're going to be doing some really cool stuff, learning how to just navigate the stars, exploring life, all of that good stuff. So I can't wait to learn all about that. If you have any information about telescopes, all of that cool stuff, you've got to call me. And definitely find me on Facebook at UFO Classified. Like me and then spread the word, because this show is incredibly important to me, and I feel I have an obligation. I'm compelled to do a show like this so I can hopefully open people's perspectives.
Yes, this is Bill
shift
Forte,
their perspectives
waiting to speak with Erica.
Regards to all of these things that are happening. I'm going to tell you a little bit about, for those of you listening who have never really kind of delved into my own personal, you've never heard what I've experienced. I've had a life full of unexplained phenomenon. And as a small child, I had some interesting things happen, but in my 20s, I had a very active kind of a paranormal life. So there were all sorts of things taking place around me, and I lived in my late 20s, early 30s, this incredible haunted house. And this house was, it was on TV, it was written up, and all of these great things. It was honestly one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had. So I love it, and I will have to share more about that at some point in time. So we're going to have to talk about that. I definitely feel that there is a paranormal connection here, and I love exploring that. So let's talk about that. Let's share stories and do all of that good stuff. I'm thinking that Bill's calling in. He's on the phone. Are you on the phone with me or on the phone with Pat? You better be calling me.
I'm on.
Bill!
I'm on the phone
with
you.
Oh, I love it.
How's everything?
You know what? It's so much better now that you're here.
It's great to hear you, by the way. And,
I know.
I'm really looking forward to this lineup, this great lineup on KCOR, on the ladies' night here. So that's awesome stuff. And, you know, it's interesting you mentioned about Pat with that whole case, because he contacted me a few nights after that had happened, and he shared with me the site. It's a site where they have all the live air traffic control of, conversations with air traffic with the tower. Yeah, liveatc.net. And they only keep it on the site for 30 days, which was unfortunate. But it's interesting because when I heard it, you could hear a segment of it, but you could also tell a lot of it was edited out and missing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you guys got on the case and you filled in all the voids there, Mr. Puckett, yourself, Jeff, your whole team there, Mufan, and when you hear it, and I still think, Erica, that there's still some audio missing from there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, in fact, Bill did an analysis of the audio, and there is a little section that was redacted. So that makes the case more interesting.
And wasn't there also some anomalies caught on radar?
There were 106 anomalies caught on radar. It is a really substantial case. And one of the things that makes it so interesting is it's a very rural area of land, and the nearest radar tower is 90 miles away. So to us, that says that this is something quite large. And we've had different experts, radar experts from in different places all over the world look at this and give us their opinions, and all of them say this is very, very strange. So it's just such a great case. And Bill, the cool thing is you were involved because you said to me, "You got to talk to Pat."
Yep. Yeah, I remember when this whole thing started. And, Pat is he's a good friend of mine also. And I've known him to be a very honest, trustworthy individual. So when he told me this, I knew this was something that was really credible, because he also, and we've also, the three of us, last year sometime, he had called me at about 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, my time, or it could have been a little bit later than that, but he was witnessing these 7 objects in the sky, and they were moving at incredible speed. First they converged, then they all split up. At one time, they all went in different directions at such a rapid speed. And I remembered he called you, and there seems to be a lot of activity, maybe more recent activity going on in Utah. And I'm wondering, my question to you, is there any correlation or connection to the Dugway Proving Grounds, the military base over there?
I believe that there is. That's just speculation, but it is something that I find very unusual. I have talked to many witnesses that have lived on the periphery of Dugway, and they have, all pretty much the same type of story where they're seeing these orange-red orbs around the vicinity. One person I spoke with had a very interesting abduction case. There are cattle mutilation cases. There are all sorts of things taking place around Dugway. It's just a very strange place. And to me, it's a little disconcerting for multiple reasons.
And, that's why, if you remember a few years ago when I first actually met you and spoke with you, doing these night vision sky watches and getting these cameras up, which I do. You know that I do a lot of these sky watches myself. I stream it live on YouTube. But it seems that there's such a rash of activity going on. Now, I'm not one to jump. I'm very grounded. I don't like saying it's alien origin. I just say by definition it's unidentified flying object, or UAP. We just don't know what this phenomenon is. But there seems to be a lot of activity going on, and I can see it with my camera systems. And I don't know if this is part of a space program or drones going on that are military, because they're not civilian. They're too high up there. These are not just ordinary civilian drones. This is happening at night, and it's These are objects that are just miles up. I mean, we're not talking anything in close range proximity. So it's really interesting, and I'm also interested to hear what you're doing with your telescope. So I'm looking forward to that. I just purchased a Dobsonian Go-To 10-inch reflector telescope, and now I'm doing live observations of the moon surface. And Eric, I got to tell you, I'm getting really up close and personal on the craters, on the surface. It's really some really cool stuff. So if any of your listeners want to check out my channel, it's Bill NY Skywatcher on YouTube, and we welcome people to come into the chat and join us and participate in the conversation. And you know, I always look forward to you coming on as well. So it's a lot of fun. Are you still there, Erica?
I'm here. Sorry, I just now that
That's
I
okay.
have a little. I mean, now that I've got my telescope, I have to say that there is a huge learning curve to that.
There is. There is. It takes time. Adjusting it is tedious. I mean, it's very sensitive. It depends on what you're using. Just to focus it is really sensitive. And I noticed, it took me. It's definitely a learning curve. But see, I have the motorized mount, which is even more tedious to set up because now you've got to I do a 2-star alignment on the pad, so I've got to everything has to be right. The telescope has to be perfectly collimated. That's where you get your dishes, your eye, the mirrors all set up right. Your finder has to be perfect. Everything just has to be right, and just getting it all coordinated to focus on particular stars. So now it knows the mapping of the stars of the sky that is in your area. But once you've got everything worked out, I mean, I can go outside, put in moon, whatever object, Jupiter, and it'll stay on the object. The telescope will stay there. And I've got the camera connected, and all I got to do is once in a while go outside and tweak it a little bit. But it's so great to have this. And like I said, I've been doing this for the last month or so. And like you said, it's a learning curve, but it's really awesome to see the surface of the moon in such clarity.
I know.
And,
that is so cool.
It's just awesome. It really is. It's so much fun. And you know what? It's also a great educational resource and tool for people. Because I just don't want to stick with the ufology aspect because I love that stuff. I've captured something incredible here. You've seen that video that I have. That has the 3 lights on it that does warp speed. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes. No, I was going to say it's so cool because, I know for myself, researching all of this has been fascinating and I love it and I believe in it. And I know that great things are going to happen with regards to that. But then there's this aspect of educating myself with regards to what takes place around us all the time and all of these beautiful things that we can learn about. And it's so profound to do all of this.
You know what? Observation is the key, Erica. I think people, we're very observant today. Unfortunately, there are circumstances that we cannot really control so much that we need to be observant and watch our surroundings. We have to be vigilant on our security and our safety. But there's also other avenues like looking more into the sky, the activity above us, not necessarily just around us, which I know is a priority, of course. But, there's also some really interesting things going on above us. And that's what I tend to focus on. And I know you've been doing this for many years and you've done incredible research, you and your team, Jeff and everyone else. And I really just hope that it's just not for this generation, but for future generations to get interest in this, because it seems like there is a little bit of a detriment as far as that's concerned, as seeing a new wave of investigators and people interested in the topic. I think it's really, really important that we have people get involved with this. And again, it's just to look at things outside the box.
Yes.
Be open-minded. You know what I mean? We can't be narrow and, look at things in a narrow vision. We need to be broadening our horizons and just looking at everything and, just for whatever it's worth, whatever your opinion is, hey, but at least you're looking at things in that kind of aspect.
I think that's true, but I really feel like, and I know what you mean about like not knowing if this generation is going to pick up the torch and run with it, but I really think right now we're in such a pivotal time, and I really feel like something is, I feel like in the next couple of years we are going to make great achievements with research and with getting the mainstream scientific community involved, and this is going to be just accepted, and we won't have to go through this anymore. So we are really in a profound time, and I feel blessed to be in a position where, like you are, where we can talk about this and then really push things forward and teach people.
Well, you know something? I agree with you. I see disclosure leak. I think disclosure is occurring right now. I mean, it's happening. It's just indirect on some of the things that you see going on around us, whether it's water found on Mars or sometimes they talk about all these exoplanets found in the Goldilocks zone that could be habitable or can be conducive to life. I mean, you're seeing where it's becoming more open to the possibilities that life does exist, or some evidence that life did exist on certain planetary bodies in the solar system and outward. So I think that you're starting to see slowly, even institutions, religious institutions, for example, even Pope Francis, when he makes references to extraterrestrials, you're starting to see a lot of openings there. And hopefully one day, like you said, the scientific community will come on board. There's a gentleman that I've spoken to recently. His name is Dave Schock, and he's in the process of launching, I think it's going to be in a year, he's got the funding now, of a CubeSat. And that's going to be doing UFO research with these little tube satellites from space with cameras.
That's amazing.
So, yes, you know what I mean? It's really important to do that scientific research.
Absolutely, and we are. And I think that like I said, in the next couple of years, I really think there are going to be some amazing achievements and some amazing announcements, and we will all be vindicated because we know that this is happening, and we just can't turn a blind eye to it anymore. And Bill, we've got to get ready to go to break. But thank you so much for checking in and saying hi.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
thank you so much for having me. Have a great night, and good night to all your listeners.
See ya. I'm Erica Lukes. We're going to be right back. And guess who's going to be on? Chuck is here. Catch you on the other side.
Stand by. This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified
with Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Where'd that shot come from?
Alpha 3 to Eagle 1. We've got company.
From Tate Publishing, codename Eagle Force, the saga begins.
I see them, Alpha 3. All units, stay low and let them come.
From the eyes of a special ops officer, Joe Michael Riggy brings to life this amazing story of survival, the unknown and the unexpected.
Here they come. Hold your fire. Hold. Now.
Codename Eagle Force at TatePublishing.com.
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
What if maintaining a healthy weight was as simple as drinking a cup of coffee? With Valentis coffee, it's that easy. Harvested from the world's most pristine coffee farms and packed with the purest ingredients on earth, Valentis takes losing weight to a completely new level. At Valentis, we believe everyone deserves a chance to be healthy and fit. It's pure, natural, healthy, and delicious. Click the Valentis Healthiest Coffee banner on the KCOR Digital Radio Network website and take the Weight Loss Guarantee Challenge. Valentis Coffee, simply the world's healthiest coffee.
When danger is imminent, will you be prepared? Now many mobile devices can bring you critical information from local sources you trust. With the unique sound and vibration, wireless emergency alerts keep you in the know wherever you are. Learn more at ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. Jump onto the Celestial Highway and travel at the speed of light. Into hyperspace. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. She navigates you through the cosmic tides of mysticism into the world of covert technology, UFOs, mystical sciences, and the world of unforeseen forces.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Listen live, Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, for Hyperspace, the one show that blows the whistle off our government black ops projects. Hyperspace, hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Want to take a ride?
If ever a breed was affectionate to a fault, it's the Golden Retriever. They're people dogs, pure and simple. And the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada needs your help. If you would like to volunteer, foster, adopt, or donate, go to the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada's website at grrsn.org. That's grrsn.org. Or call 598-GOLD. That's 598-GOLD.
All systems go!
After a long day, sometimes you just need to be transported mentally.
Let's go!
Into a higher state of being. Elevated frequencies. Mixed by some of the world's hottest DJs.
I love them.
Every Monday night at 10 p.m. Pacific. Elevated Frequencies is an emotional as well as cosmic journey of sounds that elevates your mind with melodies that transcend the human existence and soul.
I love the music. I love the way it sounds.
Elevated Frequencies, a 1-hour musical mix for the mind. Monday nights, 10 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
You're listening to
UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts!
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Well, welcome back, my friends. I am Erica Lukes. In case you missed that, this is UFO Classified on KCOR Digital Radio Network, and I just have to give a shout out to my fabulous producer Tina Marie, who deals with all of she just rolls with it. I love her. I feel so blessed to be on this network. It's an amazing experience. I want to thank Bill, my friend, who just sat in on that last half an hour. He is great, and hopefully he'll call into Fringe Radio next week tomorrow when I am going to be on with Pat. And I love it because every time I'm on Fringe Radio, Pat calls. Or Bill calls, and that's the first time that I ever talked to Bill was when I was on Fringe Radio. So it has a very special thing for me. My guest tonight is an amazing guy, and I have called him a couple times when I have needed help with cattle mutilations, different investigations. We had a mass sighting here in October of 2014, and I called him about that as well. And he just is a down-to-earth, intelligent person that is willing to help. He has been researching UFOs and the paranormal for 30 years. His expertise lies in Roswell research. He researches UFO sightings, landing trace evidence, field investigations, animal mutilations, Bigfoot investigations, ghost investigations, alien abduction. He is an expert at interviewing witnesses, which is a very, very difficult thing to do. He has great technical knowledge, and he's always pushing the boundaries with regards to utilizing new equipment to really get in there and do some great research. He has been on, I've seen him on several different TV shows. He is the deputy director of animal mutilation investigations for MUFON International. And his sister is, Debbie Ziegelmeyer, is an amazing woman, one of the few women involved with MUFON, and she is the Missouri State Director. So they are a dynamic duo. They do lots of investigations together. This is going to be worth it because Chuck and I are talking about the case of October 2nd. We're going to talk about his personal experiences and the paranormal highway. So this is going to be a great show. We're also going to talk about orange orbs. Are you there? Do I hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
It's the seventh sign of the apocalypse. Are you just causing trouble? You and I are causing trouble tonight, I think.
Okay. Well, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Oh, good, good.
I am so happy to have you on the show.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me on your show. I don't know what's going on with the Skype thing. It's crazy.
I know.
But, you know,
I'm
stuff like that happens. Stuff happens like that when you do paranormal radio and TV, actually. Things just don't seem to work sometimes.
I know. It's so interesting to me. But, you know, I was just mentioning that you've been so kind to speak with me with regards to a couple different investigations that I've been doing, and your expertise in cattle mutilations is legendary. And you had a cattle mutilation just recently that you were investigating. Give us a little update about that.
Well, I'm sorry, you had me speechless when you said I was legendary. I just had to think about it for a minute.
Well,
who's talking to? I want to talk to that guy. Well, I guess we should get into the meat of things, I guess, right? So to speak.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, well, I know, and then you can have a hamburger, because I hear you like to do that after cattle mutilation.
Yeah, basically, when you do when I do different types of mutilation or investigations, if I do a cattle mutilation, we usually go out and have hamburgers afterwards. If I do like paranormal type, then we have spirits afterwards, and then generally
I like it.
But basically, with Bigfoot, we'll just bring some beef jerky along with us or something like that. So.
I need to hang out with you then, because that sounds like too much fun. And I just, you've done, how many cattle mutilation investigations have you done?
Oh, gosh, I can't remember now. I mean, personally, just here alone in Colorado, well, for every one I do, I learn about two other ones. So I've been pretty heavy in it for the past 15 years or so, and it's pretty crazy. I mean, I've been out here in Colorado now about 17 years, and when I lived in California, I was always out, out in Durango, out of deserts, and doing some investigations, research on stuff that was flying out there. But before that, I lived in Missouri, and there was a lot of talk about mutilations and all kinds of interesting things happening over there. So it's been a case I've always been really interested in. And what happened was anytime I go to investigate a UFO sighting, I hear about possibly a mutilation. Missouri, Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico. And so I started just focusing on doing field investigations on animal mutilations there for a while, trying to figure out what the heck is going on with this. It's really crazy. I don't know if your listeners really know the whole aspect behind what's considered a mutilation compared to what's not considered a mutilation. Are they up on that? I don't know if you've had a previous show on that.
We have had it's great because we have so many listeners from all over that just might need to be caught up, and I love to hear about it all the time. So just give us the scoop.
Well, basically, how I look at things, because I was a city boy, you kind of rely on the rancher themselves. And generally, a rancher knows how their animals have died because they've been doing it for such a long time. I mean, ranching, that is, not killing the animals. But most of the ranchers I've dealt with are second, third generation ranchers. So what happens is they'll see an animal that's dead of unusual circumstances, and they can't see any reason why it died. And then on top of that, they'll have all kinds of unusual cuts in a lot of cases. And so, they look at it wondering, well, could this be a scavenger causing these cuts? But yet, how did the animal die? What killed the animal in the first place? And then they realize, oh, look, it's void of blood completely, and the tongue's been cut out in some cases. So this has been happening for since 1967. We've had over 10,000 cases in the United States. So basically, I talked to the ranchers, and over a period of time, certain ranchers out in the San Luis Valley, they have an idea of what's plausible for a mutilation compared to what's not, just because they've been hit so many times before. And I don't know why, but who's ever doing it has a tendency of coming back over and over again to the same rancher. So basically, animal mutilation, and that's just not cows, because I've investigated horses and dogs and coyotes and rabbits and and goats. So basically, an animal's found dead of unusual circumstances. Basically, the rancher comes in and goes, oh, I wonder how this animal died. I just saw it, looked healthy the day before or 2 days before or whatever. And then they notice these strange cuts. And sometimes the cuts are, the side of the jaw area is cut clean. Maybe the eye, not the eye missing, but the eye socket is cut. So there's a cut around the eye socket. And then the outer maybe removed completely. And every one of these cuts are precise incision cuts. And scares the heck out of the ranchers. That's the first thing. And the second thing is basically loss of blood. And then obviously the first thing is no signs of how the animal died. Second is the strange cuts, and the third is really the loss of blood. And the average animal, those 900 to 1,100 pound animals have 4.5 gallons of blood. So that's a lot of blood that's missing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that's really, really scares the ranchers, because they don't know, A, who's doing it, and B, are they going to come back, and C, are their lives, at stake or threatened.
Absolutely.
So in comes the UFO investigator, paranormal investigators. Now, a lot of my cases, the ranchers have contacted law enforcement. Law enforcement have done their own investigations, and basically, majority of my cases that law enforcement has gone out and looked at the animal, either prior or after I've looked at it, they always classify it as an animal cruelty case. Now, here in Colorado, animal cruelty, it's a crime, but it's a crime that if a human has to commit animal cruelty on an animal cannot commit animal cruelty on another animal unless, let's say, it's a trained animal by a human, purposely for attack or something like that. So anytime you see a case where law enforcement came in and says, well, it's obviously animal cruelty, what they're saying is they found absolutely no evidence of a predator killing the animal, meaning a mountain lion or a bear. Or wolves, let's say. And so all they have left to rely on, well, if it's not that, then it's got to be a human, even though they never ever find human evidence either. Right. So since 1967, every one of the cases that have been investigated by law enforcement, no human evidence has ever been found that causes the animal's death and all the cuts, and no evidence has ever tied any one person to this, and they've never been tried and convicted and, sent to jail or anything like that. So a lot of these cases, when they occur, they're just kind of like baffled. They really don't know what to do. And the Humane Society has stepped in a couple times, offering $2,000-$3,000 rewards. Cattlemen's Association has stepped in a couple times, offering rewards, trying to find. So recent, December and January of this year, we had 2 cases in Kansas, and the rancher was, had a reward out. The Humane Society had a reward out in Kansas, trying to figure out what was going on. And, obviously they can never find. It's really scary. It's just one of these cases where, and I'm sure, you've been involved in a lot of UFO investigations. It's one of these cases where you walk up and there you are. You have complete evidence of something that was living before, now completely dead, and no cause of death. And on top of that, you don't know who to point the finger to. So it's one of these touchy situations. I don't recommend animal mutilation investigations to anybody unless you do a lot of research first and kind of go into it slowly, because, there's in my opinion, it's one of the most dangerous type of investigations you can do, because you could actually come up on an animal that maybe died of anthrax or something, and
right.
Then all of a sudden you infect yourself and you infect your team, and then you bring it home to, your loved ones, and then all of a sudden, you got to deal with that. So there's a lot of prep work ahead of time, a lot of things that you have to do, a lot of things you have to look for. And in certain cases, there was a case where I walked up to an animal, and the animal, I got up, it didn't look right. The cuts didn't look that right. They looked more like scavenger cuts, and I didn't get up too close to it. I just backed off and going, you know what? I don't know how this animal died, but it didn't look like it was a mutilation. I'm not going anywhere near it. And so you got to, unfortunately, some of those you have to just brush aside, because obviously you want to be here tomorrow to investigate again, right?
Yeah.
So basically. Animal mutilations, how it happens, from what I've seen, is the animal is picked up from whatever location. Let's just say location A. So the animal is picked up from location A. It's taken to an unknown location B, and the mutilation occurs there. The cuts, the void of blood, and then it's brought back to location C. Now C is close to A in some cases, in other cases maybe not, but it's still in the general area of location A. So whoever's doing it takes the animal, does whatever they want, and then brings it back. And you're going, So the skeptics say, well, let's see. If it's the government doing it, then, then why don't they just have their own cows? Or why don't they just keep the cow? Why do they go through the trouble of bringing the animal back? First,
right.
Here in Colorado, as probably in Utah, there's a law that gives the rancher his right to protect his herd, regardless if it's sheep or cows or cats. It doesn't matter. But if someone tries to take one of your animals, on your own property, the rancher has every opportunity to try and stop you and use any type of force, if that means shooting you. So here in Colorado, if a rancher catches someone trying to kill his cow, he has every right to shoot the person. Now, so let's say you got a person coming in trying to take a cow. Well, first he's got to think about, the rancher could shoot me, if he catches me stealing his cow. Secondly, if I bring it back and he catches me, then there's a second opportunity that the rancher can shoot me. So it doesn't kind of make common sense that someone would take it, and risk their lives, or at least risk getting caught, and then bringing it back and risking it again. So it's pretty crazy. And sometimes strange lights involved too, so we can go into that also.
Yes, well, and that's the thing. I have a friend who is a cattle rancher, third-generation cattle rancher up by Skinwalker Ranch, and it's never, it's definitely, and it's not just the cattle that are being mutilated, like you were saying. It is he had his pet pony, different, dogs, the family pets are being mutilated, and then there are the orbs that accompany this type of thing. And so it's really perplexing, and you hit it on the head. It is incredibly frightening for these people that are just trying to earn a living.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what's interesting about animal mutilation cases, and it's such a broad spectrum of things that's involved in an animal mutilation. It's just not something so easily you can go in and just look at. And you mentioned orbs, and I'm just going to kind of do something. I'm going to go off base just a little bit here on the orbs thing. They're more like balls of light, and what I'm trying to do is orbs are kind of like an energy, right? Where they may be associated with spirits. You know, I just did an investigation of the Stanley Hotel just last weekend. And so
you just made me so jealous. I just have to say that. That is the one place I want to go. I'm going there for Halloween.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm just saying that. In my fantasy land, I'm going there for Halloween. So I love that place. It's so cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. I haven't been able to go through all my tapes yet. But we can touch base on that a little bit later to kind of give you a heads up on what I did, something kind of cool. You know, hopefully I picked up something. But so orbs are more like energy, little balls of energy, and you can catch them with EMF or electromagnetic field. They kind of give off more of an electric field more than the magnetic, but we still use EMF meters because there could be some magnetics involved. But the lights that are seen, the balls of light that are seen associated with UFOs or with cat mutilations, they're not orbs, they're mechanical devices, they're probes, and they're very physical. And what happens is as people see them, the more activity they do, the more they glow. And so you definitely want to use an EMF meter or something like that, because not only would you have electrical, but you would have a magnetic field too, and it give you an opportunity to try and pick up either one of those two. Some meters are strictly EMF. My meter, I have a tri-field EMF meter that you can click from electric to magnetic or even a combination. Those are a little bit more expensive because tri-field, there's 3 phases, which means it's almost circular how they pick up. Some of the cheaper EMF meters are very directional, like a K2 meter. It only points, it's only directional, so you can't pick up anything behind you. But anyway, so you have kind of like balls of light. The balls of light are more like probes. Now, here's the interesting thing about the balls of light, and this is where you can tell what's a ball of light or a probe compared to an orb. It doesn't reflect light, and that's what's cool. And that's why I need to go down to the Skinwalker Ranch where you are.
Yes, you do. You need to come down.
I've actually had some cases where the lights are there, people are seeing the lights, and there's absolutely no reflection of the light on the ground or on them. I've got a really cool case where I'm trying to get to the family, to talk to the family, but we've been playing, touch and go for the past 4 months. I think what's happening is they're kind of afraid to talk to me because of the Giggle Factor, and the Giggle Factor basically is when this stuff hits the media sometimes makes fun of it. They'll play X-Files theme in the background, or they'll do something stupid like that.
I saw an interview with you where they did that at the very end.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid,
ridiculous.
But it's and we call it the Giggle Factor. Unfortunately, what happens is because other people see that, they're afraid to talk about what's happened. But this particular family, a couple of the teenagers, there was a ball of light out there floating around in the pasture outside of their house where animal mutilation had occurred nearby a couple of years back, and lights had been seen in the past. And one actually kind of interacted with it, got up to it, and they snapped a picture of it. And you can clearly, they snapped a few pictures, but what I could see the ball of light was right there in this abnormal area. He kind of walked up to it, but there's actually zero reflection on him, as bright as the light was. So that's, and that's what we get. A couple of years ago, I was in Highland, Illinois, for the Science Channel. We were filming the 37th parallel, or the Paranormal Highway across America. So I was talking to one of the police officers who saw the big triangle, back in, I guess it was 2000 or so, and And he said the sucker was big. It was about the size of a 1.5 football field. It was hovering 300 feet off the ground. These bright lights on the side. They were just gigantic. And I was really surprised that nobody asked him this question. Then I asked him, I said, so, did the light reflect on your patrol car? Should have lit up the whole ground. And he looked at me, like a deer in a headlight look, and thought for a minute. He goes, oh, my God. As bright as it was, there was absolutely no reflection on me or the car.
Oh, that is so eerie.
Yeah, so that's what we have to deal with. So basically, the lights, and this is where you kind of separate the men from the boys, meaning the boys would be us. Our technology, right?
Yeah.
The men, there's somebody else's technology, or I should say the women from the girls.
Yeah, I was going to throw that in there, but your sister would have,
That's right. And,
oh my gosh, I just got to stop you there because we've got to take a break, and I have the chat room is on fire with questions, and so I want to hear more about this when you get back, but then I also want to take a second to ask you some of these great questions that we have from all of my friends in chat. So this will be super cool. I'm happy to have you here again. And I am Erica Lukes. You are listening to UFO Classified. We're going to take a break, and the best is yet to come. So we will see you soon, or talk to you soon.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at ufoclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Okay, so you guys, welcome back and happy Fantopia Friday. It is Ladies' Night on KCOR, so that means you get me, and then you get Tina Marie on Restricted Airspace and Solaris Blue Raven on Hyperspace. So it's, grab a martini, put your feet up, enjoy Friday night, and listen to some incredible interviews on KCOR. I'm so happy to be here. My guest tonight we were having way too much fun on the break, I have to say. Chuck Zukowski is a veteran in the field, and he's somebody that I learned from, and I'm so grateful. He's always kind to me when I call him. But he researches everything, and he had a very cool story before we went to break. So, Chuck, are you there?
Oh, I'm sorry. You saying it was Ladies' Night. I was like going, oh. Well,
ladies, yeah. Except for you. And then, I know, not to make you, just to make you feel.
Enough. Yeah. Brings me back to those lyrics.
And I loved those lyrics. Those were great lyrics. They
are. And actually, it's one of those songs that kind of doesn't change through the decades. No, I mean, through the years. I mean, if through the months.
Are you just dating yourself a wee bit? I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Isn't it crazy? Like when you look at like 30 years of researching, I mean, I always think of myself, oh my gosh, I've been, a singer for 30 years or doing this. And it's just like, no, are you kidding me? This can't be happening.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just seemed like, yesterday I was at the Stanley Hotel and it's like, oh man, it's already Friday. I haven't even looked at my video yet. I have to tell you about a couple of other projects, but it's just, that's why my voice, excuse me. I've been on the phone, 2 separate projects, the book, and then I'm doing a little bit in a couple of weeks for the Travel Channel. And I'm helping them set up their shots and what they need and the witnesses and everything else. So I've been kind of doing that. All that while I'm trying to do my day job.
I don't know how you do it. I don't know how any of us do it. It's crazy. And you do so much. You're always out there for those cattle mutilations, and you've had some really interesting stuff happen as of late. We were talking about that before the break.
Yeah, so where did we leave off? I forget. Blood, guts, what?
Blood, guts, and then the orbs.
and
had a little orb.
The orbs, the probes, the balls of light. So basically, for anybody out there, if they see any type of a light or, shooting through their house, I actually got an email today from a rancher in Illinois that's had these balls of light around his house and inside his house. And I've been trying to tell myself, first off, make sure what you're seeing or what you're getting on your camera is not specks of dust or water particles or anything like that, normal stuff that we always say. And so he finally emailed me a little clip. I got one. And I was on his phone. And when I played the little clip, sure enough, it was this kind of a solid light that kind of just shot right across. And it wasn't bright. It was just deep white. But, he actually was he saw it. He took a picture of it. And that's what's cool, too, because if you see something and you can get an image of it, then you actually saw it, right?
Right.
And generally, if you watch these shows, TV, these ghost shows, I won't mention, which ones, Ghost Adventures. But anyway, there's a lot of pictures that they'll show you, oh, look at this orb, it floated, look at this. And a lot of that stuff, especially when they're in places where it's an old factory or an old house or whatever, you're going to get a lot of dust kick up, especially when you're walking around. So majority of that stuff is dust. But if you actually see something, and they have in some cases, they'll see something while they're recording it, and they'll go back and say, oh my gosh, we actually saw something. That's a little different because you generally don't, see, speck of dust that your IR will reflect or the light on your cameras will reflect back on. So when you have when people see the balls of light, that's something entirely different than the orbs. So I always like to kind of separate. We'll give the ghost investigators the orbs and the spiritualists the orbs, and the UFOs will take.
I might have to arm wrestle for that because and this is the thing. I think I've always said to Jan Harzan, we need to define the term orb, especially with regards to UFO sightings. And I always have the more I investigate, the more I find there are so many blurred lines. So where does one, thing take off? Where does it go from paranormal to being a UFO type thing?
See, now you just did it again. Oh my gosh. I am like schooling you on Women's Night.
Well, we can't have that, can we?
No, we can't. So what's the definition of paranormal? Paranormal is other than normal. But somewhere down the road, Ghost Investigations just decided they were going to take that word and keep it to themselves. Where paranormal can mean, if it's out of the normal, we're talking Jersey Devil, we're talking chupacabras, we're talking anything, anything that you and I investigate, we go out there. If anything that doesn't fit what we say is normal, it's the paranormal. And I'm not, I'm not, ragging on the gay society, but I love the rainbow. But somewhere down the road, they took it. And I'm going, oh my gosh, they took the rainbow. Oh man. No, I got to take the rainbow stickers off my car. But I kind of use that like paranormal. So somewhere down the road, ghost investigators took over the word paranormal, where in actuality, everything that you and I do is really based on paranormal. By definition.
I agree. And I think it is really interesting. And you know this from working with MUFON, but there's such a, the second you say paranormal, it's like, get the cross out and get the holy water. And because it's just something that you cannot talk about. And I understand the need to kind of separate this because, I don't, because I wouldn't. I don't. But I understand that for some people that's really important because they want the mainstream scientific community to take this research seriously. But I don't see why we shouldn't be taking everything, why we shouldn't be looking at everything, because none of us knows about any of it.
Well, you're absolutely right. And one of the reasons why I got involved and I don't do a lot of ghost investigations, but I've done, a dozen or so. The reason I got involved in it is because there are some cases where, and I'm sure that you've got them too, where someone will say, I think I'm being abducted. I see this, or this is happening. And then the more you investigate it, you go, I think you just have spirit activity. But unless you actually start doing ghost investigations and start working with the ghost investigators, I have a few times out here, and I've actually lectured at a couple of their, I know they say paranormal conference. They should say something else. But and so I do get a lot of chances to talk and discuss things with them. And so I learn a little bit more about what to expect when you do a ghost investigation or spirit investigation compared to if it's not. And if it's not, then what is it? And so a lot of those things, especially with MUFON, you really can't just throw the Bible up in the air and say, that's demonic, that's ghost. No, that was the perception of the person who reported their sighting. Okay.
Right.
And I can tell you, there's a lot of groups of individuals out there that will look at the grays. The first thing they say, demonic, demons, they're devil, whatever. And so if we abide by that rule, then every entity sighting we would throw out as being demonic. But that's just based on their interpretation, based on how they were brought up, their religious background. And I'm not knocking it because, like you said, I kind of look at it all. And what I'm saying is, what you saw was an actual physical entity that, no, guess what? It's not demonic. And, I wouldn't sleep on your stomach tonight. But basically, you got to watch those probes. But basically, you have to be able to differentiate between the two. And as an investigator, and MUFON too should really look at that and say, okay, we have to listen to all this because some of the demonic stuff could be real entity sightings and stuff that we should be looking at and investigating. So you're absolutely right. We got to look at the whole thing.
Well, and it's so interesting because we have to deal so much with people's belief systems. And even, and I noticed that when I really started to investigate things, we want to, when you're researching, when you're using the scientific method, it's important to come into that. There's no bias, but yet there was, and you can't really do good research when you're coming into it with a bias.
Yes.
And, that's just, it was fascinating for me.
One of the things and it's really funny because I get people ask me, what do you think about that investigator? What do you think about his research? What do you think, and I get, what about, did you read his book? And I've got a library of books over here. Okay, I got like 2 or 3. No, actually, I got a lot. And I use basically the books as reference material. What I try not to do, and it's called seeding, and seeding is when you're doing an investigation and someone throws in some unwanted, let's say evidence, and throws you off, and that happens. That's why detectives, when there's a homicide, they cordon everything off, and they let the crew go in. Because if you had people walk in there and they absolutely, they accidentally drop a piece of bubblegum wrapper, so all of a sudden, is that evidence or no? What they did was they seeded it. They basically threw the evidence off. So a lot of times when you when you're doing investigations, it's okay to get an idea of what other investigators have done, but if you want to go your own route and you want to take that other road, you really got to shy away from what they did, because if what they did, if it was correct, then there would be no reason why you would need to investigate it, because it'd be accomplished and we'd know what it is. The whole purpose is you're looking at something that hasn't been successfully found out or accomplished, basically you don't have an ending to it.
Right.
So you got to you have to go at it at your own route, take your own path. And that's what I kind of do with all my different investigations, even though I keep in mind some of the things that other investigators do. You really got to go at this at your own frame of mind, your own thought process. You try to bring in some interesting other ideas, because if obviously, what was it? Henry Ford once said, "If you always do what you've always done, then you'll always get what you always got." Correct?
That is absolutely true.
Yeah, so you can't do that. So you don't want to always do what you always done. You want to do something different. So if you always do what you always done based on other investigators, you'll always get what they got, which is we haven't got it yet, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I respect other investigators. I'm not saying, I'm just saying that I try not to seed my investigations with their techniques or what they try to do. I try to do things a little different each time, because you really have no idea. With animal mutilations a couple of years ago, I'm using full spectrum cameras now. When I'm doing and you go, well, how can you use a full spectrum camera if you're doing the investigation during the daytime? Well, you put a white light filter on your camera, so you have to make sure you get a camera that's a full spectrum, that you can buy an adapter and put a lens on it, and the lens blocks out all the white light. And so you can shoot IR during the daytime and you can shoot UV during the daytime. Or you can go full spectrum and shoot them both. So what I'm looking for is, based on criminal investigations, a criminal will always leave evidence. And that's just based from a law enforcement point of view. And it's more like a human thing. We always leave some type of evidence. Every time you touch a table, you're leaving evidence on the table. If it be, the oil from your hand or the skin particles or something. So every homicide or any type of event, there's evidence there. But it's up to the investigator to try and find that evidence and try and figure, first off, try and find it, but then try to find it is try to figure out how to find it. So as investigators, we know that like mutilation cases or abductions or something, there's evidence there. But how do we find it? And what is it? Once we so
right.
We have two unknowns. First off, what type of evidence is it? And the secondly is, how do you find something you don't know what it is? Which is, it kind of throws that catch-22. So now you just have to try, you just have to really, really think way out of the box, or like to say, out of the planet, and really look at these things and try just a bunch of different things and see what we can come up with, and hopefully something may hit, and then you can focus on that.
And that's great advice. I mean, we definitely have to come into this without a bias, having an open mind and thinking outside the box, because we're dealing with something that we cannot even, I think, mentally conceptualize. And for me, one of my looking at this and wanting to do my orange orb, I should call it sphere, or probe research. I know. Research project. It's really fascinating to me to watch people come into this with a bias and not really looking at the data. And so I hope that at some point we can start to educate people, and I think we are. I know that MUFON's doing some great things with regards to that, and I'm really happy that Ken St. John is on board and doing good things with education. But I think we have to change people's perceptions and let people know that this is such a far-reaching type of phenomenon. And I don't know, like you look at Skinwalker Ranch, there's, you have Bigfoot, you've got the cryptids, you've got all of these UFO sightings, cattle mutilations. I mean, is it all related? I don't know. We don't know. But we have to think outside the box.
And that's true. I've actually seen commonalities with every one of my investigations. And the reason, and this is kind of interesting. So as of the last couple of years, you've realized with MUFON that they've added cattle mutilations, me being the deputy director of animal mutilation investigator.
That is great.
But then we've added Bigfoot also. And the thing is, and that was one of my complaints from the very beginning before Jan, going way back, even down to when I used to talk to Schussler, I said, we need to focus on that. Why? Because people have seen unusual lights associated with Bigfoot sightings and vice versa. And people have seen unusual lights associated with, with cattle mutilations around the time. So, there's a combination there. Now, since I've been doing ghost investigations, and some cases there could be an interaction between entity or UFOs and its ghost. And you're going, huh, what? Well, basically, if you think about it, when you have, let's say you have an abduction or you have some type of UFO activity in a particular area, like maybe a residential home or something like that, there's an energy that is actually embedded, and it's residual energy. And depending on how fast we can get out there will depend on whether or not we can pick up that residual energy from that UFO encounter, with our meters. But now I'm starting to wonder if that residual energy actually attracts the spiritual side, because one of the experiments I've been doing on and off when I do ghost investigations, especially when I have the whole building or a whole area to myself, is I create an artificial magnetic field using electromagnets, and I kind of sweep them back and forth, and I create this corridor of a very high EM field. What I'm basically doing is I'm giving the spirits I'm giving them energy to be able to manifest, because if you do ghost investigations, you have a tendency of especially if you're in an area that's hot, your batteries will drain. Well, what you're doing is the energy there is being consumed out of your batteries. Same thing with UFO investigations. When you get a really hot area like the Skinwalker Ranch, you'll lose all your batteries. And that's just what happens. So there's a correlation there with this energy between the spiritual and the non-spiritual. So if there's an energy source there, it could attract the spiritual. If there's an energy source that was created by the spiritual, it could attract the non-spiritual. So you could be thinking you're going into a ghost investigation, and in actuality, you've got something else going on. So now we have a combination.
Isn't that fascinating? And that's what I love about this. And I have to throw in there, because like I was telling you, the questions on chat tonight are just amazing. We've got to take a break here, coming up pretty quick. But with regards to the cattle mutilations, how are these incisions? Were there any cauterized markings on these cuts? Because this has been, the cattle mutilation stuff is really coming up in chat.
There really hasn't. I've taken an animal in. I've taken all kinds of samples in, biological samples, and under a stereo microscope where they're looking right in, they don't see any cauterization at all. But they do see very, very clean cuts. I mean, they're looking down at the cilia, the very, very small fibers on the hide. They're looking for anything that's cauterized. Now, to be fair, when people think of lasers, they think it's hot. Well, we have cold lasers. So in fact, a cold laser could make a cut without leaving it cauterized. So you have to think a little bit about different types of technology, even though it's a laser. But in those cases, what they say is it's very, very clean. It's like a surgical cut. And the nicest thing about it is it doesn't show any hemorrhaging, which basically means the animal wasn't alive when the cuts were made, or else there would have been blood, pumped out through the incision marks, and they would see, signs of hemorrhaging. So basically, the animal was dead first before they made the cuts. That's, at least if you look at it, that's more humane, I guess. But that's
comforting.
Yeah, I guess if you consider comforting. Basically, what it sounds like is they drain the animal of the blood first, and then they cut it after that. Now, we don't know how they're cutting it. Basically, I've had them look at tongues. I've seen both types. The tongue has been, a lot of the animals are missing tongues. The tongues are cut way, way, way in the back where it attaches, to the, your intestinal tract. And sometimes it's a straight cut, and other times it's a serrated edge. Being woman's night, I guess, if anybody out there sews, and I used to sew. So
you're a metrosexual, aren't you?
No, you haven't done this. So,
oh God, we've got to actually take a break really quick. So I can hear that great music. That's my fabulous producer. But we will talk about your sewing skills and maybe some other stuff when we come back. But thanks for being there tonight. And we've got the best half an hour getting ready to come. I'm Erica Lukes. This is UFO Classified, and we will be back in a moment.
Stand by.
This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
With Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Three guys, no ties.
All across this country, the American people are waking up. And I'll tell you today, help is on the way.
I thought he sounded like Yosemite Sam.
Give me a whore! Help is on the way.
And I ain't no mamby-pamby.
Help is on the way.
I'm a pirate. Giggle Sam.
Three guys, no ties. Wednesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific. Right here on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Monday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, we take the KCOR Digital Radio Network off the grid and go deep inside the Paranormal Vault. Jump on the elevator and come take the ride down the rabbit hole of reality with BK Mojave and the Watcher as they unlock the vault and dust off some of their classified paranormal case files even the government doesn't know about. The Paranormal Vault. Mondays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. This is the one show our secret government fears will speak the truth.
The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazell was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes. UFOs, mystical sciences, and the world of unforeseen forces.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Listen live, Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific.
For hyperspace.
The one show that blows the whistle off our government black ops projects. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven.
Solaris Blue Raven.
Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Want to take a ride? Take a ride. Take a ride.
This is the world-famous KCOR.
That's the only station I listen to.
You're listening to
UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts.
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
I cannot believe it is the last segment for this evening because I have to tell you that this is the most fun I've had on a show. I think it's the hardest I've laughed in my entire radio career. This has been a great show and I love laughing. So it is wonderful. But I just want to tell you a little bit about my show next week. I'm interviewing Shannon LeGros from Into the Fray, and she is I really adore her. She is smart, intelligent. She does Smart and Intelligent. That was a good one. But see, Chuck, this is your fault. You're getting me.
Is she smart or is she intelligent?
Oh, Lord. Let's just go with intelligent. Okay. That's all I can handle. For right now, but she's awesome. She's got a great radio show. In fact, Chuck, I'm surprised you haven't been on it before.
Well, I have a tendency of shying away from these radio shows because I get myself in trouble.
Well, just a wee bit, but that's okay. We'll protect you. I'll be wearing my T-shirt, and then you won't have to worry about it.
Oh yeah, you got it. Yeah, you talked about that offline. So
yes, I did.
Yeah, she was talking about a Minnie Mouse T-shirt. So
I know, I was. It was quite special. Oh Lord, but I have so many questions for you with regards to this, and one of the questions I definitely want to ask you is if you ever felt either physically threatened or like maybe spiritually threatened by the work you're doing.
I mean, right now?
Well, I mean, that's a given. But
besides tonight? The answer would be yes. Actually, spiritually threatened, not really scared, yes, a few times. Where you're like, what am I getting myself into? And you're looking for a way out real quick. And that's another thing about being investigators. No matter what you do, make sure you always have a way out. Any one of the investigations I do, because I'm a field investigator, so anytime I'm out on the field by myself, or even with my crew, I'm always make sure that I'm armed or something, because you never know, who's actually doing stuff. So I've had. It's kind of interesting. Have I been personally threatened by, let's say, government officials? No. I've had a couple of cases where, if you're alluding to something like that, I've had a couple of cases where I was contacted and asked specific information about some of my investigations, and they were very polite. I was very polite, and we ended on a very polite note. The bottom line behind that is they're a little more powerful than I am, and it'd be pretty easy for me to just go away. But that's not what I'm afraid of. I'm always happy to help anybody with their investigations, regardless, if they work within our government or anybody out there. I'm always happy to help. As for the non-government, there was a case where it was cool. I was doing I was doing a lecture in Denver a few years ago, and after the lecture was over, I was walking over to my computer by myself, closing it up because I was using PowerPoint. And it was pretty cool. A couple of people walked up. They came out of the dark. And this was, unless they were just effing with me, but, they were identically the same height, pale skin, dark blue eyes, almost had the same color. I mean, they looked like Edgar Winter and his twin sister.
Oh, dear.
They kind of walked right up to me very quietly and nonchalantly and said, "Excellent job. You're on the right track." Turned around and left. And that was the last we ever saw of them. And I looked for them. And so you get little things like that, and whether or not, somebody was kind of messing with me or actually, they were hybrids or whatever they were, or they had some type of I guess association with what I was doing. It was Roswell at the time. It was still kind of cool, to get that, hey, you're doing a good job, not only from from the people or a couple of times where I was contacted by phone asking me specific questions, and then, other things too. So it's like, okay, as long as I make everybody happy, and as long as I don't step on anybody, that's, I should be around tomorrow to do more investigations.
Well, that's comforting. I mean, but sometimes I think the more you you investigate this sort of thing, you leave, if you're not almost spiritually, I hate to use that word, but really prepared for this, you can let a lot of negative stuff that you don't understand, that we don't understand, into your space, and I think it can be detrimental. I think a lot of times when people do their paranormal investigating, they go in it with this kind of callous attitude that, oh, we're just going to go hunt some ghosts. And yet they don't realize that, Uncle Joey's following them home and he doesn't have the nicest of motives.
That's right. And one of the other things that, as any investigator has to consider, it's always in the back of their mind, is what if you face the thing you're investigating? What if you're going to come to terms real quick, when you're eye to eye, or if it's Bigfoot, eye to navel, I guess, because they're so tall. But you're all of a sudden you're facing your fear, and what do? And that's where that's why I always say you have to have that escape. Now, if that escape isn't physical, then it has to be spiritual. It has to be some way that you can escape from it without affecting yourself and affecting your personality and your family and everything else. And usually with ghost investigations, I'm always real good I'm very, very polite. I don't do that crap you see on TV where they yell at the ghosts and they try and spark some, those guys need to get slapped. But basically, they deserve whatever they get. But I'm very, very, respectful with any one of my investigations, and then I close it out. I say, this is your home. I'm going to go home to my home, but I will come back and visit you, and blah blah blah, and let's just leave it at that. One time I didn't do that, and a couple of nights in a row, I actually at night my leg got pulled a couple times. I got slapped, and then my leg got pulled. I'm going, guess what? What didn't I do? People don't realize that entities, ghosts or spirits, I should say. I hate to use the word ghost, but spirits. In my opinion, if you can get some type of communication with them, if it be having the lights turn on or off, or at least get good EVPs based on some questions, then it's a living entity is what it is. If they can answer via EVP a question, then that means there's a conscience. There's all kinds of stuff involved in that, and you don't treat them as ghosts. You got to treat them as living entities, living forms, and you have to be very respectful for that. And in a lot of cases too, and we had a case where my son, we were doing an investigation over in Fairplay, Colorado, by South Park. Believe it or not, there is a South Park, but it's basically like a museum of old homes or old businesses. But basically, my son just got back from Iraq, doing a tour there, and he goes, "Dad, I got to get my mind off of what was going on over there. Can I go on your next investigation?" I said, "Well, yeah, you were going to do an investigation this weekend, basically." This was a couple years back. So if you do ghost investigations, I had 6 people with me, 5 other people, including me, and we were down in a cellar. It was blacker than black. It was just crazy. You could barely see your hand. And there was 3 sitting across from each other, so it was 3 and 3. And I had my EMF meter towards the end, and basically I asked a question, and then if I don't get a response, then the next person beside me will ask it, the next person, because you never know who's going to spark a response. Just because you think you're in charge, you're not in charge. They'll tell you who's in charge. And at this particular time, it was my son that was in charge. They liked him. He's got a lot of energy. And so we were getting all kinds of interesting things happening. And, oh, my gosh, you could see actually black shadows. And I thought it was black already down there. It was so dark. And all of a sudden you could see something even darker than dark running by you. And you could feel the cold breeze, and you could feel the static in the air because the hair in your arms start lifting up. Well, he got touched during one of our EVP sessions. He goes, Dad, there's something that's burning. I go, what? He goes, yeah, right above my belt line, it's burning. It burns. And we had him stand up. We stopped the EVP and we looked, and he had 2 round marks about the size of a quarter, about maybe a couple inches away from each other, right above his belt line. And we got that on video a little bit, but it started to dissipate. And he was a real trooper. We went up and we broke for a bit, and we came back down and started over again. But the thing is most people would say, "Oh my gosh, that's demonic. Something attacked him." Well, not really, because you have to look at it a different point of view or a different frame of mind. We're looking for something like that has energy. We're using instruments that measure energy, right? EMF meters, K2s, whatever. We're looking for that energy. So if that high energy is there and it happens to touch you, guess what? It's going to, it's going to leave a mark on you. And it's not a burn or anything. It's just an energy mark. So because you see this stuff on TV, oh, look, I got scratched, or something touched me. Oh my gosh, they're demonic. They're just playing that up, or they're stupid. Because in most of the cases, it could be someone just trying to touch you. And if they touch you, they just actually, leave some of their energy on you. It's just like using a FLIR camera. A FLIR camera can see heat. If you put your hand on a table and hold it there for a couple seconds and take your hand away and put a FLIR camera on that table, it'll see the impression of your hand, because we leave energy too. So why not spirit?
Right. And I totally agree with you, because it's been amazing to me what I experienced, on the paranormal front when I lived in a really haunted house. To me, it was something interacting with me, and it was a very incredible experience. But I think most people that would have experienced what we did would view that as something really frightening and demonic, and it wasn't.
Well, you see, you just did it again. This is 3 times in a row.
Oh, I'm so bad.
So the last one was paranormal. We said haunted, and we have to really come up with another, because I hate saying ghost investigations because you're not really giving them much credit by saying they're a ghost, because we're going to end up there eventually. I hope we end up there eventually being that. But haunted seems like it seems kind of scary where maybe it's not, right? So we have to come up with, I don't know, help me out here. We got to come up with something else other than. But I'm just like you. I've used it too. I say, oh, we're gonna go check out a haunted house. Is it really haunted, or is there just someone else living there, and we're invading their space?
I know, and that to me, when I say haunted, it's with a lot of affection, because what I experienced, even if I call it haunted, it was a really beautiful thing. And when I left that house, I was there for 8 years. When I left that house, I still am sad that I'm not there anymore, because it was so amazing to interact with what was going on.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, I'm just harassing you because it's Women's Night.
Yeah, whatever.
If it wasn't Women's Night, I wouldn't be harassing you.
Well, and see, I'm just a nice hostess, and so I'm just letting it ride. But
I'm just trying to spark some debate going on there. Let's get going. I was on a debate team in college.
I never would have known that about you. Oh my!
Come on,
Well, oh my Lord, Mary, I've got to tell you. Well, that'll just spark some debate too. But Lorraine has been asking me these great questions on chat, and I have not asked you, and so I want to do that really quickly. But with regards to the mutilations, have you been contacted by any other farmers, bee farmers, or any other livestock farmers that have had similar experiences with the mutilations?
Well, yeah, I mean, horses. Actually, that was, I don't go into too much of it because that's a whole other hour, but yeah, 2 horses, a dog actually the horses kind of mimicked what happened to Snippy the horse, or Lady the horse, back in 1967. They had the same type of marks, and this was about 5 years ago. I had a case where a dog, all 4 of its paws were cut off, and the rancher found it by the back door. There was actually no blood at all, so it didn't walk up there. And then within a couple of days later, there was a mutilation down the street. Then I've had some cases where there are goats, and there was another dog, and then I interviewed a rancher in Missouri that saw. This was a really cool one. Okay. Some people think animal mutilations, maybe it's a transient doing this, or the government's doing this, and they're hitting specific spots. Well, here's a case in Missouri, not too far from Marley Woods, because that's where we were doing the investigation. I was talking to a rancher, and while he was hunting, he came across, and he thought he needed to tell me because he says he's never seen anything like this before. It was as if a coyote was chasing a rabbit, and they were about a foot away from each other. They're both were laying on their right side, and they had these unusual cuts on them, and there was no blood at all in either one of them. But that's where they were found. So and he didn't think much about it until his neighbor had a cow mutilation, and that's what we were there investigating, the mutilation along with some strange lights that we're seeing in Marley Woods. So here's a case where the guy's out hunting in the middle of nowhere, right in the woods in Missouri, and comes across that. So it's not like these things occur in places that they want people to find them.
True.
So there's a lot of cases where we don't know about. I did for the Science Channel, I did a little bit of an investigation called Dead Elk, where there was like 118 elk that just died for whatever reason. Now, they didn't have the earmarks of animal mutilation, but they definitely died of unknown circumstances, and we couldn't figure out why they died. A case like that, I'm guessing it was something experimental that that we did. The boys did basically, but we couldn't find evidence on that.
Wow. And speaking of the Marley Woods, were you out there with Ted Phillips?
Oh, that was a long story.
Oh, dang it. I know, and I asked you 10 minutes before we have to go off the air, but...
The bottom line is, I like Ted. Do you like? I don't know. I don't want to say I don't like Ted. I like Ted. He's a good guy. But he invited me onto his team because, I was doing all these nifty things. Well, first thing I did was, when we went to Marley Woods, I set up an artificial magnetic field out there and to entice the lights to pop up to see if I changed the environment at all. And I was doing experiments like that, and I was getting results. The second time I went up there, I really pulled the close encounters bit, and I took out 16 floodlights going through a controller, going into my computer, and they're all, I guess they're 30-some feet away from me, or even longer than that. But basically, I was flashing binary code with these floodlights out there, 2 8-bit registers, a 16-bit register. So basically, I was counting, 1 through 27 in the alphabet, and then I do alphanumeric. And what I was doing was, the whole purpose is, it's like you're fishing, you try different types of bait. And for a split second, something popped up, one of the lights popped up, and we caught it on camera, but it just blink. And I think what the Marley Woods thing is lights pop up, and what the lights are is, in my opinion, balls of light, or they're probes, and what they're doing is they're looking at the environment for whatever they're looking at, they're measuring it, whatever they're doing, they're looking at the environment. If they like what they see, or what they pick up, then another one will pop up, and another one. And sometimes you'll have one or two, and some of them, the ranchers say it'll be like stadium lights. It's really, really ridiculous. Well, what happened was after the third time I was there, the people there were starting to listen to me more than Ted Phillips, and he fired me.
Well, all right.
He was there for 9 years, and within less than a year, I got more results than he got in 9 years. And I'll tell you why. It goes right back to the very beginning. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. And that's what he was doing. The same thing over and over again. Nice guy, trained by J. Allen Hynek, nice guy. I'm not knocking him. But if you get into that rut and you're not getting anything, it's time to get out of that rut and come in at a different frame of mind and try and find out why you're not getting any new results rather than the same results. So anyway.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree.
Yeah.
What do you think about some of these ET contact groups?
Oh, you're talking about CSETI?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I like Greer. And I went to, back in the day, I got to see his whole presentation that he gave to Washington or whatever for a big press release. And I got to see all this stuff. He has some really amazing stuff. He's a good guy. I hate to say anything negative about anybody, including Ted Phillips or even Stephen Greer. They do what they do, and they're doing really good results. I particularly, and this is where I'm not on the same page as Greer. Anybody that goes out, seriously, guys, anybody that goes out there late at night to do a UFO watch, and they see something, and they take their little flashlight out, and they blink it in the air, and they expect to see results, they need to get slapped in the side of the head. Seriously, really, these things people are seeing out there are real. I'm sorry, Erica. Do you do that? I apologize.
You know what? I was going to do that later tonight, but now I'm feeling a little insecure about it. So
I apologize. I won't. I'll just laugh at your T-shirt. But but basically, you're dealing with intelligence. It's far more intelligent than we are. So you gotta step it up a bit. And that's what I did is I stepped it up, and I figured, okay, if they're monitoring us and they're monitoring our satellites, everything's in binary or hexadecimal. So let's step it up a little bit. Instead of just clicking, and I say that because of Stephen Greer, he's a very, very high-level investigator and researcher. Instead of just sitting there flashing a flashlight, let's kick it up a little bit, and let's do something in binary. Or let's, instead of flashing a flashlight, maybe flash a UV light or an IR light, something that's out of our spectrum.
But I will say though, like if you look at Hessdalen, there was, 30 years of research, and they did that, and it interacted with them.
Well, they
just
do.
From flashing a laser, and so that was quite interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about flashing laser, because light travels at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second or whatever. So we go out there, we're flashing lasers at this UFO out there. And then about 20 years later, some kid is walking on another planet, gets hit in the eye with a laser, and gets blinded, right? He goes, where did that come from? I'm kidding, of course, but, we're just shooting this stuff out in space, and it'll keep on going until whatever. But there has to be some thought process in this, and you have to have some data back. Now, I'm not knocking. Yeah, they've got results, of course, because I've been out there too, flashing. I'm just as goofy as they are. If all you got is a flashlight, why not? You use it. But if you're going out there and you're going to do, a planned investigation, think about it. Be a little bit, serious about what you're going to do. Have a game plan. Think a little bit outside the box. Think about, what can constitute some type of a feedback or something from what you're looking at. Now, in my opinion, when you got large groups like that, and one of them is flashing light, is it really responding to the group, or to the light, or is it responding to the energy in the group too? Because you have everybody there. Now, they say prayer is the best medicine, but yet you don't have to be religious to understand any combined thought process can accomplish some really amazing things. So if you have like a group of 20 people out there, and they're all so fine-tuned on what they're seeing, could that be causing the flashes light coming back? And
I don't know, but like for me, I think that there is, to me, when I meditate or when I do some of the CE5 protocols, there is definitely something going on that I cannot explain. And I know that happens with many other people. And so it's one of those fascinating things to me.
Oh, you have to keep that. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very analytical, and my sister Debbie, she's more on tune with you. So that's why we make a really good pair when we do investigations. You have to consider everything, and meditating, and even doing what Greer says. I know he gets results. But what I'm saying from a field investigator, when you're talking about trying to capture data,
yes,
and you have to, and when you look at anything from a scientific point of view, when you capture something, you got to, and before you can say that this causes that, it's the cause effect. You have to try it a few times to make sure that what you do, results, you get the results that you got the first time. Anyway,
absolutely.
That's what you try to do. And in cases with the Greer's group, sometimes you get it, but sometimes you don't. But I'm more on board thinking that, yeah, okay, it could be the light, but it could also be just a combined thought process.
It absolutely, and I hate to cut you off because this has been such a great show, and oh my gosh, what a great show! You teach me so much, and I laughed and I had a great time, and I want people to go to UFOnut.com because you've got amazing videos, amazing articles. Thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure, and I apologize if I offended anybody, and if I have, just email Erica.
Oh, Lordy. Oh, thanks, Chuck. And I'll be talking to you this week. I might have some words for you. But everybody, thank you so much for listening tonight. I will be back Yeah, thank you. And stick around for the fabulous Tina Marie. She is the bomb. So you can catch me next week, same time, same place. Make sure you find me on Facebook at ufoclassified.com and stick around for 2 more fabulous ladies. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great Friday night.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at ufoclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the